town in Ohio where the community has decided to take matters into their own hands. It is a Black community in Ohio. You guys have got to see this. And I hope more people talk about it. I know JB talked about it earlier today on RBN as well. A Black community in Ohio has formed a safety program after a neo-Nazi rally came to their community. And from what I understand, this is pretty much an all Black community. Listen to this. Let's get into this clip here from MSNBC.
Turn now to one community in Ohio, which is now the center of a growing national debate about civil rights, hate speech, and the Second Amendment. NBC News correspondent and NBC News Now daily anchor Morgan Radford visited the town of Lincoln Heights, where residents have formed an armed community defense group in the wake of a neo-Nazi rally. Morgan joins us now. You were there just on Tuesday. What did the residents tell you about what's going on?
Yeah, I was there just this week. John, it was fascinating because what's interesting is that this town was founded during the Great Migration back in the 20s as a refuge for Black citizens, which is why it was especially painful when neo-Nazis suddenly appeared in this 3,000-person majority Black town. But they decided to fight back, taking up arms and patrolling their own streets. Now they're at the center of a much larger debate about protection and free speech and who gets it.
These aren't police officers or soldiers.
They're business owners, their fathers, their sons, daughters.
These are civilians, members of the Lincoln Heights Safety and Watch program.
It's a duty. Okay, let's go.
The duty, protecting their neighborhood, the majority Black village of Lincoln Heights, Ohio.
Ain't nobody scared of you.
After neo-Nazis held a rally here last month, carrying rifles, waving swastikas, and hurling racial slurs, just moments before children were let out of school.
Now, let me show you something. If we go back here, right? Notice how they're helping the kids cross the street. Like, look at this. Watch this.
Safety and Watch program.
It's a duty. Okay, let's go.
The duty, protecting their neighborhood, the majority.
You see this? Okay, so let me say something here, folks. Here's the thing. Yeah, man. I'm all for that. Protect your community, protect your neighborhood. And it reminds me of what the Black Panthers did. I'll get into that in just a little bit more. But protect your community, protect your neighborhood. Damn sure well protect those damn kids, right? This is what we should be doing. We should be working together as a community. We were talking about this earlier. How many of you know your neighbors? Everybody's always on their phones. Everyone's always on, like, you know, I think some people spend more time on Twitter and social media than they do face to face with people in real life. How many of you know people in your community? Like, this is what we should be doing, protecting and looking out for our communities. That's what I'm talking about, especially since this happened.
40 Black village of Lincoln Heights, Ohio.
Ain't nobody scared of you.
After neo-Nazis held a rally here last month, carrying rifles, waving swastikas, and hurling racial slurs, just moments before children were let out of school. At the time, law enforcement officials said the neo-Nazis did not break any laws, but an investigation by county prosecutors is ongoing. Weeks later, the KKK came with these flyers.
First African American.
So this happened. I want to tell you guys something. You see these flyers? I'm trying to get a picture of it so you can see it. Hold on.
County prosecutors is ongoing. Weeks later, the KKK came.
The flyer says, "Leave now, self-deport, and avoid detention. Americans on guard." So look, there were similar flyers that were distributed here to towns in Massachusetts too. I don't know if I've mentioned this on the show before, but that has happened here as well. I don't want people to think this is only happening in like a red state, because Ohio used to be swing state, but a red, whatever. It's happened here in Massachusetts. So the police have not intervened, right? What did I tell you? The police they rarely stop crime. They solve 0.02% of crime, right? So of course, they had the right idea. Yo, we got to protect ourselves. This is an all Black community, and there's neo-Nazis that show up to march in their community. And then next thing you know, you have the KKK dropping off flyers in that community as well. Hell yeah, you better protect your community. Hell yeah. Let's continue.
With these flyers.
First African American community above the Mason-Dixon line of staff.
Safety and Watch Group spokesperson Durrance Daniels says the police did not do enough, which was more chilling because the town was founded in the 1920s as a safe haven for black residents.
Lincoln Heights is our home. If somebody broke into your home, you call the police, and the police says, you know, if they do it again, we haven't broken any law, so we're just going to allow them to break into your home again. What would you do?
Are you worried at all that having a potentially armed response could just create more friction, create more danger?
I'll answer that by saying I've never felt safer as a black man in my community than I have right now.
The mayor of Evendale, which...
Let me pause, because I have something to say about the statement that Miss Ma'am just made. She said, are you worried that the armed response will actually make things worse, right? First of all, it's their community. They live there, right? And this is where I may differ from others, some others on the left that are against the second. I'm not against the Second Amendment. I've said on this show multiple times, I believe you have a right to protect yourself. And some of my fellow leftists, they have said before, just get rid of, no, everyone's guns should be taken away. Okay. And the police can still have guns. Get out of here. I don't believe that. I believe in people having the Second Amendment. I believe in people having the right to protect themselves. So that's where I differ from some of my other lefty comrades. But that's their community, right? You know, I mean, do you go to other towns and ask all the other people who have guns and things like that, like on their porches or whatever? Some of you don't know, like some of us have lived in the country. Some of us have lived in the country. Some have lived in the city. Some of us have lived in the country where everybody has a gun. So do you go to those towns and ask those people, are you worried that no. I couldn't believe she asked that question. Like, come on, man.
I've never felt safer as a black man in my community than I have right now.
The mayor of Evendale, which oversees the police force that responded that day, said in a statement to NBC News, our emphasis on de-escalation and public safety resulted in the incident's resolution without injuries to any of the persons involved.
Come on.
But residents here say they can't afford to wait. Every day, the Safety and Watch Group escorts children to school and patrols the streets.
Why do you all wear masks?
Those Nazis, we have reports of them finding our backgrounds, so we're not hiding ourselves from the residents, but we're protecting our family from what we're doing out here.
While many local...
So, wrong question. She's asking them, why are you wearing a mask, right? And he said, well, we're wearing a mask because some of those Nazis have had ways of finding out our information. And then I guess probably coming after contacting their employer or whatever. Again, this is their community. This is their neighborhood, right? So instead of asking, why are you wearing a mask? I feel like it almost kind of came across to me like an interrogation. Like, why? I felt like she was interrogating them. They're not doing anything wrong. It's their community. And there are people who came into their community to threaten them. So you asking the wrong questions. It gives me cop-like vibes. Like, I don't like it. Why are you wearing a mask? Don't you think armed resistance is probably a problem? So should they wait for something to happen? Should they? The question should be to those groups, why are you coming into this black community and terrorizing these people? But no, it's let me ask you why you wearing a mask. Okay.
So we're not hiding ourselves from the residents, but we're protecting our family from what we're doing out here.
While many locals do support the security group, some, like business owner Eric Ruffin, say they wish the group wasn't needed.
We don't want to become what we hate. You know, we don't want to become a group of people that walk around feeling like we have a reason in America to have to protect ourselves.
Who is this dude right here? You know, there's always one, right? There's always one that has to say the dumbest thing that I could ever. Of course, they would go to him and put him on camera. We don't want to become what we hate. What? Protection? What are you talking about? It just, we don't want to become what we hate. What are you talking about? They're protecting themselves. Do you go to other communities? I said this before again. For those of us who have lived in the country where everybody got a gun, whether it's a hunting rifle or what, do you go knock on their doors and ask them why they all got guns? Do you ask these questions? No. We don't want to become what we hate. They're not even the same category. There's defense and there's offense. There's defense and there's offense. They are defending themselves. Should they wait for something to happen to then say, oh, maybe we should start a safety group? No, they're trying to prevent it, which is something that the cops aren't trying to do. But you always got one, man. You always got one guy that's just gotta just come with this bullshit.
Like, we have a reason in America to have to protect ourselves.
And this community
Stand up.
Stand up.
is not backing down.
We contacted the mayor of Evendale's office, and they say that prosecutors are looking at body camera footage of the neo-Nazi rally to see if any criminal charges could be filed. But meantime, the Hamilton County Sheriff is also calling on state lawmakers to pass legislation making it a crime to wear a mask with the purpose of intimidation while open carrying, guys.
So, Morgan, let me ask you, one of the people you interviewed there, a young man, said he's never felt safer in his community than he does now. So this could have an impact nationwide, things like this. I mean, there is a contagion factor in safety. People always seek it. What did the mayor or anybody that you spoke to think about the contagion factor?
Duran's, I don't want to speak for him, but after my conversation with him, I feel like I could confidently say he would say the contagion factor has already happened. Because when I asked, is this a reaction to a local moment or a national movement? And he said, look at January 6th. He said, you already have people felt emboldened to come here locally because of what they saw nationally. If you can hang from the building of the hallowed halls of the Capitol and then be pardoned, not be prosecuted, why don't you think you can come to a small village of African Americans, only 3,000 people?
Stop. Because you see, they had to find a way to make this political right. So let me just say this right here. That has been happening long before January 6th. When I went to the University of South Carolina, there were neo-Nazis and Klansmen that marched through the streets of downtown Columbia in front of the State House, and they gathered there in front of the State House. That has happened multiple times in Columbia, South Carolina. It is really not news there because it's happened so many different times. This has happened in Georgia. This has happened in Texas. It happened here in Massachusetts when even David Duke and neo-Nazis marched through Boston. This was long before January 6th. They had to try to find a way to make this political instead of calling it out for what it is. They are going into that community to terrorize those people, to make them feel intimidated, to make them afraid so that they'll leave. They were literally one step away from burning crosses in their yard. This is what happened during the 50s, the 60s, the 40s, the 30s, etc. They start off with intimidation and then they start burning crosses in your yard. So yes, they have the right to protect themselves. And I would expect this so-called left-leaning network of MSNBC would understand that and wouldn't even go there and ask those stupid questions. Why are you wearing a mask? A couple years ago, they were telling us that we had to. Now they're saying, why are you wearing one? The buffoonery of it all. Now I'll show you what the Black Panthers did. Because I want people to see this, that the Black Panthers, they knew they had to protect their community. 1966, Black Panther Party, the 10-point program. And I want to drop down to number 7, right? Because remember, there was the same type of hostility against the Black Panthers. We say we have a right to bear arms in this country. Yes. We have a right to bear arms in this country. Yes. Why is it that when it's a group of black people bearing arms, all of a sudden it's a problem? I don't see this reporter going down to Texas or Colorado and asking people, why all y'all got guns? Number 7, 10-point program. We want an immediate end to police brutality and the murder of black people. We believe we can end police brutality in our community by organizing black self-defense groups that are dedicated to defending our black community from racist police oppression and brutality. The Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States gives a right to bear arms. We therefore believe that all black people should arm themselves for self-defense. Hell to the yes. This was the real left. This was the true left. I don't know what happened, because somewhere down the line over the years after that, all of a sudden it was like, if you're on the left, you're not supposed to be pro Second Amendment. The fuck that? The hell's no. I never bought into that. That's something I never bought into. And I've criticized that multiple times on the show. I remember when Beto O'Rourke was running for president and he said, hell yeah, we're going to take your guns. I was like, and he just lost. Hell to the no. I believe in the right to the Second Amendment. They were protecting themselves. They knew that the police were not going to be the answer. So the Black Panthers said, we are going to police our own community. We're going to protect ourselves. Now, the Black Panthers weren't perfect. No organization is. But there are things that you can learn from them. And I like what I see with that community, how they're saying we're going to protect each other. The Black Panther Party challenging police and promoting social change. Free Huey. Right? I want to show you something. One of the things that the Black Panther Party did that oftentimes you don't hear about. When I was in school, they told us the Black Panther Party was a militant group and they were radical and they went after the police. And they didn't tell us the truth about the Black Panthers. To serve the people, local chapters of the Panthers, often led by women, focused attention on community survival programs. They organized a free breakfast program for 20,000 children each day, as well as free food program for families and the elderly. They sponsored schools, legal aid offices, clothing distribution, local transportation and health clinics, and sickle cell testing centers in several cities. These activities provided concrete aid to low-income communities and drew support from the Black Panthers. And you can see it here. People's Free Food Program. See how they were taking care of their community. Nobody else was. So you see how they got the grocery bags lined up for everybody to come and grab the bags, taking care of the community. There's a lot to learn from the Black Panthers. This is where we, like myself, JB, my comrades at RBN, this is where we get mutual aid from. This is where we got it from. We didn't come up with this idea on our own. Because they knew that was the answer. And the gentleman on MSNBC is like, oh, what if this spreads? What if this becomes a contagion? And how do we stop this from happening? Do you guys realize what that guy was saying? He was basically saying to that woman who went there, how do we stop other Black communities from getting guns and protecting their communities? That's what this man was saying. This is what this guy was talking about, okay? That's what this guy was talking about to this woman. How dare you say these things? And to look at this guy right here. What if it becomes, oh no, how do we contain this before more Black people start to do this? Man, fuck that. You don't hear him say this about other people. You don't hear him saying, oh man, how do we stop all the white people in the country from getting all these guns? Everyone pay attention to the message that is in front of you from corporate media. Pay attention to what they're really saying to you. So even this left-leaning MSNBC still only wants Black people to have certain rights and still wants Black people to stay in their place. It's a mess. It's an absolute mess. So if the police did what they were supposed to do, they wouldn't have to feel that they got to rise up to protect their community. So to the police and the mayor and all of them in that area, do your job and they won't have to do that. But I'll be damned. They really think you're supposed to let something happen first and then say, oh my God, maybe we should try to do something. Crazy. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.